Welcome to Pay-to-Play report for Halo Wars. Halo Wars is a real-time strategy game. It has no extra features or anything like that. It's just plain straight real-time strategy game. Let's go into the options first, and I'm going to show you the graphics settings. So I put everything on max. So you know, I do put my system that I run this on in the description. But this is an older game. You should have no problems running this. I'm running it at 120 FPS, no problems. So there you go. I completed the whole campaign here on legendary difficulty. Done all them, well, different medals here depending on the situation. I did not go for gold for all of them, so but I did finish the campaign. It was a pretty interesting campaign. I also played around a bit with a multiplayer. Well, not a multiplayer, so it's a skirmish mode. The multiplayer is non-existent, so keep that in mind. If you're getting this game and thinking that you're gonna go play multiplayer on PC, no, I did not find anybody to play multiplayer with. So you're stuck with the skirmish mode and the campaign. Campaign is actually pretty interesting, so based on that, make your decision. Now, the game was developed for Xbox 360, so there's going to be certain features to this RTS game that are unique, well, or not even too unique, let's say, but are kind of a weird from a perspective of an RTS on PC. And we're going to talk about that. Well, let's go into the actual game itself, and we'll talk about this. So in the skirmish mode, we have two factions that we can choose from. There's the Covenant and the Humans, the standard Halo factions. By the way, this game does occur before the events of Halo Reach in the timeline, and the game actually does have the timeline. Let me find you here. Here's the Halo timeline, and you can actually go through it, and it will tell you stuff that occurred during different periods of time, right? So depending on that, you can see. So it's kind of, if you want a bit of a quick refresher through the Halo timeline, you will need to you do need to actually complete the campaigns in certain ways. You need to find certain things to unlock sections in the Halo timeline. If you want to do that, that's kind of like an achievement type of thing here. There's also skulls in this game as well, so you can go ahead and look for that as well. But yeah, let's get back to the skirmish mode itself. So, like I said, two factions. You can pick a random one, pick a random here for the Covenant. What will be then the result? Well, there will be a random leader. You can pick different leaders here. Depending on what leaders you pick, you get different units that will be available to you, and different powers that will be available to you. Now, there's only a human campaign, so for the Covenant units, you will need to decide yourself and look into yourself to see how to play them. But for the humans, the campaign will do a great job of introducing everything here. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to pick this one, and we'll start the game. I'm going to pick this map for the easiest sake of me being extremely familiar with that map, and so I can actually clearly show you stuff. Number one thing that you'll need to do is immediately to zoom out. The game is not that great. Close up, and you also will notice that the UI is really big. So I'm going to build a supply pad, a reactor, a supply pad, another supply pad. You're really going to need to go heavy on supply pads for simple reasons that we need a lot of supplies. Why do we need lots of supplies? Well, supply pads provide the main resources, supplies. You know, logical enough, and the reactors provide power. Now, when it comes to the Covenant forces, there's no reactors. There are supply pads that provide supplies same way, but there's no reactor. They have something called a temple, and so in that case, what you're getting there is not the same thing as, let's say, here. It's not a perception. Like here, it's understandable. You're getting power, and it powers all your base and stuff, and so therefore it allows you to build better things and so on. There, it's like more of a upgrading technologies, because they call it upgrading through the ages. Kind of interesting concept. Otherwise, the units are pretty similar. The buildings are pretty similar. Not the units, sorry. The buildings are pretty similar. You kind of get the idea of what's what pretty quickly. No problems. So once we build a building, we can also upgrade the building. One up next. There you go. Here it is. Same thing. I can upgrade almost anything. I can upgrade the reactor. I can upgrade the towers, the turrets here. I can put in to defend my base. Also available to me. Upgraded. I can build units already here. I can build a Warthog. I can upgrade the Warthogs. I can build something called an Elephant and upgrade it as well. There's also ability to put in rally points.
Supply pad
now,
complete.
Visually, as you can see, the game looks looks pretty okay. Everything's fine here. Everything's visual. Visually, it's I just don't see any problems at all. There's no weather effects, there's no day and night cycle, but really, you don't need it here. You can clearly see units here, except there's only one issue that I found is that you see that green here. This green is very similar to the grass green. I understand that it's a field color, field uniforms, they're supposed to blend in, but you will find that for the human factions, sometimes you cannot see the units. Because, well, they're sitting there and you just kind of, as scrolling along very quickly, you just don't notice them. I had that issue in a campaign once or twice. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. So that's something to keep in mind. Alright, so let's build a barracks so we can build more units. And now what I just did was gather some supplies. Do that again. In both in campaign and in skirmish mode, you find them lying around. There we go. So, what else to say? Well, there's also another thing in the game, it's called powers. Depending on which leader you chose, you can get different powers, such as you see I have repair, I have transport powers, I have ability to make an orbital strike, I have ability to throw some certain bombs, I have ability to land ODST units eventually, but I will need to research that. So, depending on the leader, you'll have certain powers. With the Covenant, you're not gonna have that situation. They have a special unit which gains certain abilities, and they use that unit's abilities. So that's kind of what differentiates them. But here we have some Marines, so we're gonna build some Marines. I can build Spartans. This is a Halo game, right? So I can build Spartans. That's also available to me. Here you go. All right. As we're building that, let's upgrade this one as well, and we're also gonna wait to get enough stuff so we can upgrade the reactor, so we can produce more units and such.
Marines on the ground, sir.
So there you go. They're coming out. They're all gonna come out of the base. So there's one thing you need to understand is that there's only certain areas you can build bases on. Right here, there, here, and here. Right? They are marked on the map where you can build bases. They'll be shown to you. You can only build buildings next to on this path. And you do have to upgrade the base. So initial base that you produce will not allow you to build as many buildings as here. Now in this case it's fully unlocked, but in other cases you will have to further upgrade the base to build more locations so that you can put more buildings on. Alright, we're close to soon we'll be able to produce what I need, which is an upgrade to the supply, not supply pad, to the generator, so I can further build more advanced buildings. There we go. Alright, and we got some soldiers here now. Let's go ahead and see if we can.
We're going in. Moving. Moving. Moving.
Attack. Well, that enemy uses gun, so that's fine. We're not gonna attack it.
The enemy is training hunters.
Moving. Moving.
Go ahead, advance. I'll put upgrade to the Marines, and here we have Marines, flamethrowers, which is like a fire bats, and normal Marines. We will have adrenaline thing here that, but the difference in
Our enemy is distracted. He appears to be forgetting to train.
and then of course the game gives you some tips and stuff in what's going on. So, and I said the adrenaline here will give your unit's ability to run faster. It's not gonna shoot faster or something like that, like in StarCraft, but.
Moving.
You do see that certain inspirations in this game as for units seems to have come from other RTS games. It's not a problem, really. It's kind of a, interesting. So besides skirmish, let's talk about campaign. So there is also a campaign section
Moving.
to this game.
Standing by. Standing by. Standing by. Moving.
So there we go. We can also occupy buildings, which will of course make our units, give our units ability to capture, to shoot from them, and to shoot from a defensive perimeter. So I'm gonna build an armory. I'm gonna build some turrets to defend my base now. Maybe the enemy will decide to attack me at some point. Yep, come in. Makes sense for me to do something here.
Base under
So
attack.
now we also have a campaign. I said the campaign does a great job of introducing all the human units, not so much for the other ones, but it does to a certain extent that as well.
Moving. We're going
We also have
Field
special
armory
abilities,
complete.
like here I can tell them to throw grenades. You go see.
Spartan reporting.
And now we got some Spartans out, so let's go ahead and attack the enemies with Spartans. Spartans have ability to hijack enemy vehicles.
Turret complete.
The campaign itself also has Spartans in it, you will have them, but they never really kind of take the main role there. They kind of sub role, and that way it's done pretty well because you never feel that they overshadow anything like that, something along those lines, right? Instead, they do feel like the actual protagonists in the campaign are the ones that you're caring about mostly, the ones that the story is about, and the Spartans are there just to help out, and we're gonna help ourselves out by also repairing stuff here. Yeah, okay, the main enemy guy is gone, and we're gonna go ahead and pick out more enemy soldiers.
Where to?
Spartans. Okay, let's build another one.
Warthog fired up. On the way. On the way.
Alright. So, what can I say about the game itself? Well, given the intricacies of the interface, the circle, the big giant interface, the fact that there's no hotkeys actually in this game, it does make it a bit of a minus for the game, but everything else otherwise is perfectly fine. I don't really see any kind of negative sides to this. Well, not to what I already mentioned, but anything else, other things kind of overshadow those negatives, and so therefore I do feel that this is a good game. Now, don't remember if I've mentioned that you do have a third faction in the campaign, and that faction is a Flood. You won't get to play it by yourself, but you will encounter it in the campaign. And the fun story in the campaign itself is also something that I really like. It's not something that you're gonna be ending up in, kind of feeling that, oh yeah, this is some kind of have a deep theme in it or something. No, it's just a fun story. That's what I found it to be, and I really like that.
Air pad complete.
Gonna build some Marines. We're gonna need them for further situation.
Grenadier researched.
There we go. Oh, I thought I already built a medium turret. I guess I didn't. We guys do adrenaline now. So, given all this, and I would say that this is a good game. If it had a maybe much more deeper storyline and something like that, I would say it's a great game. But it's a good game. Is it a cool game? Yes, I do feel so, because, well, like I mentioned before, you have units that can hijack vehicles on the run. Like, they can do that. That's really cool. Like, they'll jump on the vehicles that are flying and so on. The stuff that you do throughout the campaign is so cool. Like, one of the things that you do is you blow up a sun. The stuff that you protagonists throughout the campaign do is also very cool. So, in all that way, I feel that it's a cool game. Now, also, I would like to point out that this game is available through the Xbox Game Pass for PC, so if you want to check it out without paying for it, and if you have a subscription to Xbox Game Pass, well, that's the way to do it. Alright, well, thank you for watching and for listening. If you like this video, please like it. If you didn't like it, don't like it, and please subscribe.
Adrenaline researched.